What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we need to talk about Sundial stock. This stock has been falling a ton lately. It's extremely manipulated. We all know that. If you take a look at the chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. Not only have we been falling over the past while, but today even, we're down about 3% on the day. We just got pushed down and just actually saw a little bounce off of 60 cents. So what the heck has been going on with Sundial stock causing this massive dip? That's what we're going to talk about, but we're also going to talk about some big things that Sundial has going for it, some big reasons why it will likely be moving up in the future, and that despite this manipulation, I think it's going to do very well because of a lot of the fundamental reasons as well as a lot of the potential catalysts that it has going on. So first off, we're going to talk about that. Obviously, a lot of shorts don't want this thing going up. And they are going to try to keep it down despite a lot of these reasons why Sundial should be rising on a fundamental level. First of all, cultivation costs are falling and yields are rising, right? This is a Motley Fool article where we're going to be pulling a little bit of information from, but Sundial really has a lot going for it from a fundamental level. And you can see that per Sundial's latest earnings report, the company's cannabis farming operations yielded its most product ever in the third quarter. They reported that at earnings with 50 grams of cannabis harvested per square foot. As a percentage of quarterly revenue, the cost of goods sold fell by 34.58%. Since quarter three of 2020. So they made operations basically a lot cheaper, and they sold their product for more because their gross average selling price per gram of cannabis grew to reach $3.23 Canadian dollars, that is, which is significantly higher than the average cost of $2.67 per gram it had in 2020. So it has been able to raise prices quite a bit, cut costs, and that actually helped lead to their most profitable quarter. So if yields and selling prices continue to rise while cultivation costs stabilize or fall, the company will be in good shape to start growing its earnings even more vigorously as it starts to scale. So they've already been growing their earnings massively. And if these trends continue, if they continue to raise prices and cut costs, basically this is saying that would only be beneficial for them in the future. The second huge thing that Sundial has going for them, actually, and another reason why they might be having massive earnings in the future, is because of the Alcana acquisition. Now, if you guys haven't heard of this, I'll briefly explain. Sundial is essentially acquiring a Canadian liquor distributor, the largest liquor distributor in all of Canada, the largest private one at least, Alcana, for 346 million Canadian dollars in stock, right? And they announced this deal in early October. And this deal is really good for Sundial for a couple of reasons. First, obviously, they're going to be acquiring this distributor, and they're going to be making revenue from that. However, this distributor also owns Nova Cannabis, right? They own 63% of Nova Cannabis. So Sundial will also be acquiring, through this acquisition, Nova Cannabis, or at least a large chunk of it, which operates 62 retail stores throughout Canada, and that it could then become a distributor of Sundial products, increasing their revenues even more. So not only are they going to be making revenues off the alcohol sales from Alcana, but they'll also be making money off of having their products posted in potentially these 62 new retail stores owned by Nova Cannabis, right? So another plus of this acquisition. The deal is expected to close in the fourth quarter of this year. So sometime in the next 30 days is when people are expecting this deal to actually close. So that could be a potential catalyst when a bunch more people who are owners of Alcana stock are now owners of Sundial stock instead, and they might hear about Sundial for the first time. A lot of them may choose to buy Sundial stock. That's another potential catalyst that we've got going for them. And not to mention, we're going to look a bit more in depth at Sundial's balance sheet, but Sundial still has 571 million Canadian dollars in unrestricted cash they can use for other acquisitions or strategic investments, and they've already been doing this quite a bit. And if you take a peek, we can pull up Sundial's some statistics from their balance sheet. You can see that they have, in terms of cash, marketable securities, and long-term investments, they have 1.2 billion reported as of November 9th. So less than 30 days ago, they had $1.2 billion worth of cash, marketable securities, and long-term investments. Once again, 571 million of that is literally unrestricted cash, and they don't have any debt. So really good stuff for Sundial. And this, I'm going to draw a comparison between how much cash and marketable securities and investments they've got, 1.2 billion, and their market cap. If you look, their market cap is 1.265 billion. So you're essentially, when you're buying Sundial, you're buying cash, marketable securities, investments that have an underlying value to justify Sundial's price, right? Essentially, you're, when you buy a stock, a lot of the time, you're buying a company that has a much higher market cap than it literally owns value-wise. But Sundial literally owns 1.2 billion worth of investments and securities and cash. that you're essentially buying into. So there's relatively little risk with Sundial when compared to a lot of other stocks, at least in my opinion. A lot of tech companies, even though they can grow a lot, they oftentimes don't have the underlying assets to justify the price, right? They just have future growth potential, and that's what people are basing their buys off of. But with Sundial, you're literally buying into cash at this point. I mean, it's gotten pushed down so much by shorts that you're essentially buying into cash and marketable securities and other long-term investments that Sundial holds. Obviously, those could go down in value. The long-term investments specifically, the cash, cash is still going to be cash, but the long-term investments could decrease in value. Granted, that's possible. It doesn't seem too likely. Sundial has actually been making money on their investments over the past couple of quarters, so they've been doing very well with those, and it doesn't seem too likely that they're going to fall in the near future, but that just goes to show how much Sundial has been pushed down by these shorts. They've been doing it for a long time, for months and months. These shorts have just been pushing Sundial down. Every now and then it runs, and they just push it down again. And we just saw the most recent iteration of that just a couple of weeks ago when we had this amazing earnings call for Sundial, and they got pushed down off of it to incredibly low prices. Actually, we just hit today the lowest prices that we have during this whole dip, right? We actually just made new all-time lows considering how high Sundial had gotten. If you look over the past couple of months, these are new all-time lows that we just reached today. So new all-time lows in Sundial stock. If you look over here, you can see these are new lows right there, beating out the old lows that we had. So we did bounce off of 60 cents. Hopefully that will be the low. I don't want to see Sundial go down much further than this. I mean, it's getting hard to justify, even from a shorts perspective, why Sundial should be moving down. Obviously, though, I will point out there's still quite a few shorts in Sundial stock, right? 287 million shares are short on Sundial. That equates to about 14% of the free float. And this number actually increased by almost 1% today. So a lot of shorts still have conviction, at least, that they think they can manipulate Sundial down, that they think they can push it down. And quite frankly, they've been able to do it in the past. So I don't see why they would change their minds about their ability to do this in the future. Potentially, there are some upsides that could really upset shorts, potentially legalization being a main one. I think that legalization could certainly rile up a lot of investors in Sundial stock. That could definitely get Sundial pumping up huge. And that is a real danger that shorts have to consider, right? Shorts have to think that legalization, if it comes, it's certainly going to raise Sundial stock price by quite a bit. And they would then be in a very tough situation if they hadn't closed their short positions by then and legalization did occur, which we all know, if you've been watching the channel, you know that there are Republican legalization bills in the House right now that they're going to be debating and discussing and potentially passing. I mean, hopefully passing, right? Now that these are Republican-led legalization bills, it seems incredibly likely that these will pass, in my opinion at least. All the bills of the past were Democratic-led bills. This is the first Republican-led legalization bill in the House. So I think, at least, that this has the best chance of passing from what we've seen so far, right? Because typically the excuse, the scapegoat, is Republicans not wanting to legalize cannabis. Now that they might actually be, well, now that they are leading the charge, it's going to be tough, I think, for Democrats to justify voting against it when they've been trying to do the same thing for so long. I think it would be very unpopular with voters. I don't think anyone wants to upset the voters. I think, we've all seen that the polls are massively in support of cannabis legalization across the board. Even Republicans are in support of cannabis legalization. So we'll have to see if politicians can come up with any excuses to keep this from us, to keep Sundial from rising. We'll see if they can come up with anything over the next couple of weeks and months. But, politicians are slow. I wouldn't expect legalization anytime this year, right? We probably have to wait at least through December. Maybe sometime in January, February, March is when we'll start to actually see that bill get through the House and Senate onto the president's desk and get signed. That's the hope, at least. But all in all, Sundial has a bunch of stuff looking up for it, right? Because there are massive quantities of shorts out there, that means they could get squeezed out if we do have a big catalyst spiking Sundial stock price up. That's obviously good. We've got a lot of catalysts out there for Sundial and a lot to be excited about. And despite the fact that it has been falling, if you take a look, it has been falling, I will admit, but that is not something that I am hugely concerned with, right? Obviously, sometimes stocks go down, sometimes stocks get manipulated, but over the long term, I think if you have a good conviction in a stock and reasons to believe it will go up, then you'll likely be rewarded. As long as it doesn't get manipulated to bankruptcy, which Sundial is not at risk of. Obviously, they've got a ton of cash, but this video is not financial advice. I'm not trying to tell you guys to buy Sundial stock. This is just my opinion. I'm not trying to push it on you. I'm just letting you guys know what I think about the stock, why I'm invested in it. And other than that, guys, it's not financial advice. But other than that, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do these Sundial updates all the time. I talk about a lot of the pros and some of the worries with Sundial stock, right? We covered some of the worries, the shorts and the manipulation and all that. But other than that, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.